This week on Ask an Expert, freezing. Welcome to Ask an Expert, the show where you submit questions to be answered by people around the school. I'm your host, Kieran Lanois. This week on Ask an Expert, your question is, what happens to your body when you freeze? Here to answer the question is Miss Ackerman, who is the biology teacher and leader of the Outdoor Ed Club. Be aware that there are some graphic images in this episode. So this question seems to be quite appropriate for the temperature outside. So could you help us answer it?
Absolutely. I'm Mrs. Ackerman, and I'm here to talk about frostbite. It happens when you're exposed to extreme temperatures like we are experiencing right now, and you don't have mitts or toques on. So when your teachers are saying, hey, where's your jacket, where's your mitts, where's your toque, we're worried about your well-being, we're not hassling you. So what ends up happening is your body is really, really good at keeping you alive. So imagine that. Your body's good at keeping you alive. So when you're outside and you start to get cold, your skin is a big organ and it will redirect blood from your extremities towards your vital organs and make sure that you don't die. But, I mean, that's a good thing. Yeah. But in temperatures like this, it's not that good because you don't have blood here to keep yourself warm. So when the blood rushes away and it's exposed to that cold, it starts to have frostbite.
So when does this frostbite kind of occur? Like what temperature is like, okay, you're going to get it?
It kind of depends. It's hard to say. Like right now, minus 40 with the wind, you've got a pretty good chance of getting frostbite if you're out for very long. But even, minus 10, if you had a really wicked wind, you could end up getting frostbite with that too.
And how much does wind account into it? Like
it can make a huge difference. Like if you are minus 25 but no wind, you still could get frostbite because it's still really cold, but if it was minus 15 and a wind chill of minus 37, then it kind of really depends. That wind really, really affects and dries out your skin, so it can cause issues.
So what are some symptoms? Like let's say I was outside, and what color would my skin be when you'd
worry? So when you go outside, you might not have ever noticed, when you go outside, your skin kind of gets a little bit pale. That's the blood rushing away. And then when you come back in, you get rosy. Mm-hmm. That's the blood going back to your cheeks or back to your fingers, or like if you had exposed arms or something, it gets really kind of red and blotchy. That's the blood rushing back. When you have to start worrying is when it numbs and tingles and starts to kind of feel like you're being sorry, this is kind of graphic, but it feels like you're being stabbed, maybe by little needles. That's when you really got to worry. Your skin will start to go really, really dark red. And then if it gets worse, it'll end up turning white. And then worst case scenario, it'll turn black. And then you've got
some problems.
Yeah. Yeah, this is bad news.
So it seems like you have a lot of kind of experience with frostbite. Do you have a story about that you can share with us?
Yeah, I do. I was, I think, 15, and I made a terrible life choice to walk from my house to, a friend's house in the middle of winter, and I was too cool for mitts and too cool for a toque, and I frostbit the tops of my ears, and it turned them red and waxy, and it was really, really painful, and it took a long time for that to heal. I've never, ever had them turn black or anything, but it happens. It happens.
Now, that was very, very painful, correct?
Yeah, it hurts. It's very, very painful. And it's painful even afterwards when it starts to the constant kind of pinching and pain goes away. You hit it with a brush, even you're brushing your hair, and it's just, it hurts.
And does it last for a day, an hour, a week?
I think it took me 3 weeks for it to heal completely.
Yeah,
it takes a long time, especially depending on the severity, of course, right? But I think somewhere I read that depending on, if you had a black chunk on your cheek or something, maybe it took weeks to heal. That's too, if it like flakes and kind of, sometimes it can look like a sunburn. Those kind of heal faster if it flakes off. But yeah, it kind of just depends on your skin's ability to regenerate and how bad your frostbite was, what severity, what degree it was. But yeah, it's not a 2-day fix.
Okay. Now, frostbite, it's not fun, but could you die from freezing?
Okay, potentially. It's really, really rare that you would die from frostbite, but you can die from freezing. So we'll talk about both. If you got frostbite and your fingers turn black, like skin death, it kind of looks like gangrene. Yeah, if you've got kind of an infection in there, for sure you could die. But that's rare. Like lots and lots of things have to go wrong for that to happen. However, if you froze to freezing to death, that does happen. People get lost out in the bush sometimes. They get kind of disoriented and it's too cold, and yeah, they
get stuck in a blizzard and
yeah.
can never find their way back.
Yeah, even like, it's not as common, you don't hear about this, but it can happen. People get stuck in a blizzard in their car and people freeze. So it's kind of recommended that you have like a little candle or something, or like a kind of a survival kit in your car in the wintertime, just to make sure you don't freeze.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens to your body? Like what first shuts down? Does it start with frostbite, or is there different symptoms?
If you freeze to death,
to death.
So you lose. It kind of works. It starts from the outside and works its way in. So you're, like I said before, the blood rushes to your vitals to keep like your heart and your lungs working. So you lose kind of control of your motor functions, because that's like, it's not necessary for your fingers to move to keep you alive. And then the things that kind of shut down would be maybe your like digestive system, because that uses up a lot of energy. Yeah. So it would just kind of slow right down. And then the last things would be your heart and lungs and the central nervous system would be the last things to go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess this means everyone should definitely dress warm, have survival plan, and not go out if possible. So, well, thank you for answering this, and I hope this helps everybody to dress properly for the winter.
Yes, thank you. And if you need mitts or toques or gloves or like anything like that, or boots, we have access to that at the Carlton pantry. So if you can't afford mitts, we'll get you some. We would much rather get you a couple pairs of mitts than have you have black fingers.
Yeah. And get them amputated.
Yeah, exactly. And then gangrene, and then you die.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's it for this week's Ask an Expert, but we're always looking for questions. Tweet them at @PierreCarlton and with the hashtag #AskAnExpert, and we'll find someone who can answer them for you. See you next week.